I'm in the process of taking my property off grid. Today, I'm working on my outdoor wood boiler. Also, I'm gonna grill a steak. I like a good steak about as much as anything. I'm guessing most of you probably do too. This grill works a lot like my wood boiler. Turn it on, this is the display temp, but you set the point up and down with the temp. It takes wood pellets and it's got a fan inside. It's a thermostat, so when it calls for heat, the fan blows onto the wood pellets, which are on fire, and you get your heat just like the wood boiler. Our property is grid tied. So it's never really been my intention to be fully off grid. You know, I can't make utilities cheaper than I can buy them, but I also don't want to get caught with my shorts down. And honestly, we're pretty close, so it seems like it's not a bad idea to finish it off. To me, being off grid simply means not being reliant on the grid. Sounds simple enough. Woo! We have well water. We use a septic system for our waste. Even an outhouse. We don't use it very often. We use LP for gas, and we try to offset how much of that we use with the wood boiler and the insert in the fireplace. But things like our dryer, our barbecue grill, stove, they all use LP, and this winds up being backup for if the wood were to run out, exceptionally cold, or something breaks. We live kind of in the middle of nowhere. I am on a dead-end gravel road off of a gravel road. If you look at the end of my driveway, there is literally no one for about a half a mile. If there's a big storm and a lot of people lose power, we are among the last to get restored because there's only a couple of us back here. Oh yeah. Stuck a little too deep. This grill has what they call riot mode. 750 degrees, like 3.5 minutes on each side. So there's a preparedness factor to it, mostly for short power outages, you know. We have a creek that's got great cold, clean water in it. We've got a pond out here full of fish. I'd like to do some bulk water storage and some solar for the house and the shop, things like that, but one step at a time. This is my outdoor wood boiler. It's a Heatmaster that says C500, you can't read it anymore. And it's adequate. I can't say this is the one I'd pick if I had to do over again, but they all kind of work on the same basic principles. So if you're not familiar with outdoor wood boilers, we're cleaning ours out today, there is a big tank in here that you build a fire in essentially. It has a bigger tank around it called a water jacket, and the space between them is full of water. These pumps in the back, this is 2 loops, one for the house and one for the shop, pump hot water into various appliances to deliver heat to the buildings and take care of our climate control and our domestic hot water. I've got these 2 fans here that the fire sits and smolders in there, and when the thermostat calls for heat, these 2 fans kick on, blow into that firebox through the bottom, fire roars up, and that's what produces the heat. So here in my shop, as well as the garage, the basement floor, and even the bathroom floors, that's done by the hot water pumping into the house through a heat exchanger, and it goes through these tubes into the floor. And these pumps circulate the hot water through the floor, bring it up to temp, and that's what adds heat to the building. This is a Navion Combi unit. It's a combination boiler for the floor heat as well as hot water. So on this system, there is a sensor that if the water coming in from the boiler is not hot enough, it'll kick in with the propane, with the LP from outside, and it'll use that to heat. This unit is smart enough to know if the water coming into it is hotter than what it needs to go out, it won't fire with the propane. This will do the hot water and the floor heat, and it knows if hot water is coming in, it won't warm it up a second time, if that makes sense. We have 3 forced air furnaces like this one, and the ones in the house have a heater coil inside of them, and as the fan blows over it, that's what produces boiler generated heat in a forced air setting, kind of like it does in your car. One of the things that's on my mind with this wood boiler is a long power outage in the winter where the boiler doesn't run. I have the whole house generator, which runs our entire house in the case of a power outage. Great in the summer, the winter, whatever, but it doesn't run anything in the shop. So if the power goes out, the generator will run everything in the house. Like I say, air conditioning, the whole 9 yards. But if I need to run the shop off it, like if it's in the winter and I'm afraid the heat is coming off and things are gonna freeze in there, it takes, stay warm for about 5 days, depending on how cold it is outside before it becomes a problem. So for the most part, you're okay. But I have to run a really long extension cord from the generator all the way to the panel in the bathroom there in order to run just the boiler off of there. So when it's running, the generator is running the house, it's running solely off LP and the boiler does nothing. So when it comes to the boiler in that setting, if the power is out and the boiler's not doing anything, I have to keep a fire in it anyways because it's full of water. And a lot of guys, I know you should put glycol in it and stuff like that, but the glycol loses some of its antifreeze properties in time. It's expensive, and if it's 20 below zero, which is when these big storms and high winds and things happen, I'm not comfortable leaving it without a fire, even with glycol in it. So since I have to keep it burning, might as well be getting something for the effort. About 2 years ago, I added this, call it interlock kit, throw switch, and this outlet. So I can run select breakers in this panel off the generator. So you can see here, if we flip the main breaker off and slide this up, we could throw these over. And this runs the outdoor boiler and all the pumps and things in the Navion unit inside the shop. Running this cord is an exceptionally huge pain in the butt in the winter. Right now it's almost summer, it's like, I don't know, mid 60s and sunny. But when it's sub-zero out, this cord is stiff, heavy, it's hard to unroll. You're trying to pull it across ice and snow. Not to mention when there's a big storm or a blizzard that knocks the power out, power lines are down, and you're out here trying to clean up the snow, having this big cord across the driveway you're trying to plow is not ideal. So I have a solution. Oh man, gotta let that rest for a little while. This is a BLUETTI AC500 inverter, the top unit, with 2 of their B300S batteries below, and this is a beast. So I wasn't sure how easy this would be to hook up as a battery backup for the wood boiler, but man, it fits pretty good. So like I was saying before, this is the outlet that we hooked the cord from the generator into, and this is the panel. So we want to flip off this 100 amp breaker. If I do it now, the lights will go off, and then we turn this one on, and that will, whatever goes into these 2 30 amp breakers will be running off the BLUETTI. Let's give it a try. So I found this cord, and it already is set up. You know, you can go by these NEMA numbers. There's the 30 amp twist lock matches, and this matches the outlet. So I literally just had to buy this cord on Amazon. There we go, that's it. Now we're coming down here into this 30 amp. We have power. All right, let's go out to the boiler and see what we're doing there. All right, so she's on. It says that our wood is at 55 degrees. It's gonna turn the fan on, but we'll be quick so we don't burn anything. All right, so we're gonna simulate a power outage. Lights are gonna go off here. No problem, you can still see me. Now we're gonna push this up, and we're gonna flip that on. So here on the BLUETTI, we're gonna go to AC on. Oh, look at that, these lights came back on. Let's go check the boiler. That's pretty cool. It's back on now. So we are fully running on battery power for the entire boiler. And that's all it took, was to plug that little it looks like an 8-foot cord in, and we're in business. We're gonna let Gavin keep cleaning while we chat here. Think about his poor life decisions. How bad you want a wood boiler when you get older?
not buying one.
Never buying
I'll
one.
pay for the propane.
You only got to do this a time or two a year. Anyways, the BLUETTI back there is a success. I'm pretty pumped, and that'll run a lot more other things. As it sits now, there's a 110 outlet there, so if you leave it plugged in, it'll work like a battery tender and just keep it up to charge. So when the power goes out, I'll still have to walk out here and flip the switch in that, but I'm not afraid. Can you keep it down just a little bit there, if you don't mind? Hard to find good help. It's gonna walk out on me. I'm gonna have a strike on my hands soon. Anyways, like I was saying, I think that's a good option for there. And the nice thing about the BLUETTI like that compared to my generator is if I want to take it down to the barn here or something and power a pump, or you want to use it somewhere else, you just wheel it out of there and use it anywhere you want. It has several different options. Like I was saying, we've got this 110 cord. We plug it in here. That's gonna keep it charged while it's sitting here until we need to use it. I'll probably leave this unplugged most of the time. You can also hook solar panels to it. So if I want to put some solar panels on the roof and keep this charged rather than on the outlet, it would also work well to make the batteries last longer. So if you did have a grid failure or something like that, it would be charging off the solar panels. I can also wheel this all the way out to the generator there, which would be running the house, and I can plug it into that to charge it up, and it'll just take a couple hours off of that and put it right back in here. The building and the tank and everything else will hold its heat until you get that done. So what kind of on and off grid system are you guys running? Like I say, we're not off grid here, but we're working on it. One bite at a time. That's perfect. So if you want to learn more about our outdoor wood boiler, I'll put a video up here that you can watch and learn everything there is to know. If you're interested in some of the other alternative heating methods we use in our cabins, you can watch this one. We'll see you there.